Hello and welcome to my channel, Mr. Cool George. I am a filmmaker and I like telling stories. So if you are interested in hearing mysterious, suspense-filled stories with a twist, then you have come to the right place, to the right channel. That's exactly what I do. I like telling stories. Without wasting any time, let's get into today's story. So today's story happened in Australia, specifically in an Australian state that's known as Victoria. Most of you heard about the city, Melbourne. So Melbourne city is actually within Victoria, the state. So in Victoria, there is a place that's known as Badgerry. So today's story is about a man. His name is Julian Buckwald. He lived in Badgerry with his parents, with his family. And his family owned around 12 acres of land. So when I say land, it's not just land, it's a forest. So his family, his house was actually situated within this forest. So as you could imagine, 12.5 acres of land. It's a huge land. And it's mostly covered with bush or forest. And right within that forest, they had a small waterfall. In the year 2008, Julian was 22 years of age and he had a girlfriend. Her name is Caroline Watson. She also lived with her parents in another rural town within the same state, about 20 minutes drive from Badgerry. And the town's name is Churchill. So Caroline Watson was his girlfriend, and the couple met about 2 years ago in the year 2006 at their local church, because they both came from very devout Christian families. So they used to go to the church, and that's how the couple met for the first time. So their friendship developed over a period of time, and Julian got more attracted to her and he proposed to her and he wanted to marry her. However, there was a small problem because Caroline was only 17 years of age and she was still at school. So she obviously told him that she would like to continue studying and then finish her at least her school, and she will turn 18. So at that time they can get married. So Julian obviously had to agree, so he agreed, and they continued their relationship. So on the 4th of March 2008, Julian invited Caroline for a picnic in his property. Because as I already told, they had this huge forest. It was about 12 acres. And there is this very private waterfall. So obviously that's a very good picnic point. So he invited her, and by this time both the families of Caroline and Julian knew about their relationship, and they approved it. So everything was good, everything was going well. So on that day in 2008, on March 4, Julian proceeded to the town Churchill and then picked her up, and then they started driving to his property through this mud road that actually took them to the waterfall. So as and when they were driving, Julian was driving to the property, Julian saw something on that dirt road, because this dirt road is actually passing through the forest. So he saw something on the side of the road, so that looked like a roadkill, like some animal got killed. So he kind of looked at Caroline and he said to her, look, there's a roadkill, there's an animal, that's the carcass is already there, I could see. Caroline just had a look and then she said, no, I couldn't see anything. But anyway, they just proceeded with their trip, and after that Julian didn't say anything about the animal carcass. So they went ahead through this mud road that eventually led them to this forest where the waterfall is situated. So they had all this picnic stuff at the back of their car. So Julian and Caroline just spent some time around there. So they took their picnic supplies out. They had a small lunch. They had a bit of chat. They spent some time together. And by the time it was like 3 or around 3, Caroline obviously said that, you know, it's going to get dark because it's also within the forest. So there's a probability that it's going to be dark very soon. So she said, we will have to go back. And Julian agreed, and their parents also obviously know. So Julian informed his parents that he would be coming back before it's too late. So obviously they packed their picnic stuff and they decided to go back. They put everything back into their car and they were driving back towards Julian's house, which is again within this forest. So as and when they were driving back, Julian told Caroline that, you know, I told you when we were driving to this place that I saw this animal carcass, and I like to see that again. So do you mind if I just stop the car and if I go out and have a closer look? So Caroline was like, okay, so if you want to do that, but make sure you come back soon because I want to go home. You want to go home? So Julian agreed. He said, yeah, that's fine. I'll just have a quick look and then I'll come back. So he stopped the car and he got out of the car and he went out to inspect this. Okay, so now Julian slowly started walking towards that animal carcass, which apparently he spotted on his way to the waterfall. So he was searching for it through the down mud road, and after a little time he found it, that there is this animal carcass that's lying on the ground. So he wanted to have a close look at it. So he decided to do that, and he was like bending over and he heard something at the back. Now, coming back to Caroline, so she was still sitting inside the car waiting for Julian to come back, and she was also worried about the time. So she looked back to see if Julian is coming back after inspecting the animal carcass, but she couldn't find anybody there. It was just the dirt road and the forest. So she then thought, whatever, he's going to come back at any time. So she just decided to relax for a little bit and sat inside the car. Now, as and when the time passed, she realized that they're going to be really, really late, and she wasn't very happy about it. So at this point in time, so she decided, now it's time, so I will have to get out of the car and then see where Julian is. So she decided to get out of the car. So she got outside the car, closed the door, and she started walking to that dirt road where Julian had originally passed. So she walked a few steps, and there, from behind the trees, she saw something that was fully covered in black and standing like a huge man or something, because it wasn't very clear for her. And this thing was actually looking at her intensely. So she just couldn't figure out what it was or who it was. What is that thing? She just got frozen for a few seconds. So she wanted to originally go back to the car and go inside the car, but she couldn't move. Now, coming back to Julian's house. So by this time, it's actually getting, a bit late and getting darker, because like I already said, Julian's house is actually surrounded by the forest, so obviously, it's going to be dark. So Julian's mom was actually waiting for the couple because they promised to come back before it's going to get dark. And she thought, what is it that happened to them? So she just came outside the house, and they had this fence in the property. So she noticed something on that fence. It was like a water bottle. So there's no reason to have a water bottle in that fence. So she decided to have a look. So she took the bottle, and she could see some note was actually hiding inside the water bottle. So she turned and she opened the water bottle. She took that note out, and then it had a letter. So she was reading this, and she couldn't believe what was written on it.